to the Well. We come to you on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM and also now with Facebook page True Talk FM. You also get to in our YouTube channel. Well, this is now a program where they look at what's happen inside Parliament as well as around Parliament. And we want to make sure so bring una today what's happen inside the Public Accounts Committee, what's in their role in terms of looking at the audit reports and waiting at ACC the your role as well for make sure say the one them where they repeat, you know, the MDAs then the ministries, departments and agencies them where they repeat things them at the audit reports, how them for hold them accountable. Stay with me for the next 1 hour as we can look at this, and we get guests at the studio today and also get an interview we will do with one of the members of Parliament and from the Public Accounts Committee. May they bring the program now Ishmael Saidu Kano. We will go for the short break, we will come with the can engage with guests.
Under the leadership of Honorable Tawa, I think we are making some very frantic efforts to see the reoccurring.
Welcome back to the Well. We come to you on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Me na Ishmael Saidu Kano. Well, as I tell now, this program, we all know see the Well na Parliament na the outside in the debates, outside in the talk, but law them and also policy them way for make the country go before. Well, today we have to look at what in Parliament they do for make sure say the audit reports, the ministries, departments and agencies there. We then go don't see for implement certain recommendations, not they implement them, then they repeat the same thing the following year or year after year. So we talked to somebody from the Public Accounts Committee when Honorable Aaron Auna Koma, we can tell we within our own work and why this day happen. Well, now the studio I get Alex Eba, we now the Public Relations Assistant, now the Anti-Corruption Commission. It with me now the program. Good evening and welcome to the program, Alex.
Yes, good evening, Ishmael. Good evening, listeners and viewers.
Welcome back to Talk Radio. I will miss you for a while. So how did it go?
Good.
Small, eh? Yes, easy.
Una can come to work.
I know.
We can go to work.
Exactly. So a partnership. All right. So now Alex Eba there with me at the studio, and we can talk about ACC as well. Within in the do for make sure say people or MDAs them where they repeat the same offense now the audit report. Within they do for make sure say then stop this. Well, Alex, let me start first of all as Anti-Corruption Commission. We come to the audit report. Within now on your role as ACC.
Yes, we get a mandate as provided by law for, of course, ensure that issues around corruption, we tackle them. Standing our word mandate, we get Section 7 of the Anti-Corruption Act as amended. We clearly resound that, we get the responsibility for address issues of corruption, take all steps necessary to address issues of corruption. And how we be able to do it, we not understand what corruption broadly means. So it entails the conduct of public officials within the respective offices. We more or less concerned with public officials and public system.
Okay.
By extension, public even when it intersects sometimes with the private sector. So in order for them we able to execute that we mandates, we rely hugely on, of course, reports then working country, where people engage in acts of corruption. But we also rely on instructive documents then, which form, part of the reports. But like the audit reports where it can come on, not like that we normal reports with the reports. These are issues that way they can flag.
Okay, Alex, I just hold you there. We get some technical problem with the sound. We want to take a break, then we can continue with you. We'll just take the short break. Welcome back to the Well. We come to you on Two Talk Radio 98.5 FM. One for the story for that day. Alex Asabi, they ask you, Parliament and Una, of course, Una be don't get some kind small loggerheads in terms of Uda for take charge of the audit report, but we can discuss that later. But with now role again as ACC for make sure say we come to audit business. Una self play on your own part.
Yes, so broadly, we get a mandate pursuant to Section 7 of the Anti-Corruption Act,
Okay.
as amended in 2019, for take all steps deemed necessary for fight corruption, for eradicate corruption.
Okay.
And how we they able to do this? We rely hugely on the reports the way they can make to we. But we get other forms of ways the way we can also make interventions, and one of them forms then they for take action on certain publications there, and one of which were very instructive now audit reports. So audit reports we can treat them like any other reports where they can come with our attention. And of course we understand in a parliament then give it a mandate there. So when audit reports then can come on, I think more or less since we get Francis Benkaifala as the commissioner of the ACC, he look at and say these are not just reports in way then for the published that before this time had been tagged as mere opinion or professional opinion, expert opinion from the Auditor General. But now one way they highlight some critical issues around the management and sometimes misuse of public resources, and those are red flags. Those are issues in way we don't need for gloss over. Those are issues that we not need for carpet. Those are things that we will need for use as instructive piece of documents for take decisive actions then for ensure say public resources are used judiciously, governance process, there is no betrayal of public trust and all of those things. So now in that spirit there, we begin making interventions into audit queries then. In fact, we are one of the very few institutions, anti-graft institutions then in Africa where they make such moves. So other countries then being this before of recent on the emulates, where they look at audit reports we then publish and then we take action. So the very first one way we look at the 2015 to 2018 audit report, we get a range of issues then we'll pick after the audit reports there. We pull about 8 media releases, all of the issues and they we flagged at the audit report, and some of those ones definitely we will go into them. We identify them and we single them out in media releases and the interventions where we don't make. So we make about 200 or so million then of recoveries then. We make about we investigate about 13 issues then we emanate from the audit reports there. We charge people in a court. We secure conviction. We get monies there. Interestingly, there was a total amount of around 60 or so million then when our monies then we be there now the Ministry of Energy account. But when we intervene, because audit reports then pick out, both EDSA and Ministry of Energy they not claim the money. They all say, so those are sometimes the staggering and mind-blowing things then we audit reports can pull. So then they don't inform we interventions because we are mandated by law, Parliament empower we, and now within that spirit we don't make all of the moves there.
Now, Una in Parliament been get some small, I would say, ala we camp on the audit report. We get Una Commissioner Francis Benkaifala and the chairman for the Public Accounts Committee in a Parliament, Honorable Ibrahim Tawa Conte. Then begin at the media, waiting at ACC then whole, waiting at Parliament then whole, in terms of Uda for do waiting for be. So that kind of thing they be done they happen. Parliament say that then they in charge. ACC say then get rights to investigate. So waiting on a whole being, you don't explain. I want for you just tell me Una in Parliament. Yes, waiting on a whole. I different.
So first off, we are poised, we are tasked for address issues of corruption, but more importantly, for look at areas then where, you know, mismanagement of public funds, you know, corruption of vulnerabilities then, you know, can happen, or systemic weaknesses then, we can lead to that and able to address them, and that audit reports the flag. Systemic weaknesses then, where they lead to the huge loss or mismanagement or embezzlement of public resources. So if we wait only when we get intelligence, we will make intervention, we ignore audit reports, it means one way or the other we renege on we key function. But there we come, there we look at Parliament. Parliament clearly and unarguably then the supreme institution where they look at audit queries, then gets the fundamental mandate actually for look at audit queries. So in fact that is uncontested. We are a creature of parliament. So parliament make we then give we a well-defined task. So if then gets the primary mandate as provided for by law, you know, the constitution at the ground norm, for looking to audit queries, we realize, say, and of course you can attest to that, we don't know it none they obtain at this country way before this time. Audit reports then be the common, and there be the table then at parliament, but not much was done. And the following year again, another audit reports they come on, the same issues then, now in the flag, and being that actions were not taken, so these things were repeated. Every year government be they incur huge losses, unaccounted funds, you know, and several other anomalies then will be there happen, where the audit reports then be they pick out. So now on that basis day, the stout-hearted leadership we get in the person of Francis Benkefala, I look at and say we need for take decisive actions then for ensure say waiting audit reports they publish, we use them for make reforms within the governance system, for strengthening them, for address them gaps then the one they were responsible if now funds are being mismanaged, let them people then they can provide answers. Those that should be punished and punished. So now because before this time parliament not so much be, you know, they perform them functions in the way then get. So now that be informed we interventions, but also because we get the specific mandates as parliament already be done give for looking into those things. Even though past leadership before this time na ICC also be just left than they within the hands of parliament.
So una get for the continue, because whenever the audit report come out, una they call press conference, tell journalists then the area they want for look at, and waiting be to happen at the previous investigation. So from waiting to happen between una and parliament, that trend they get for continue.
So parliament now like should I say father? And then father the ACC, because we are a creature of parliament, and then get primary responsibility as the constitution so provide for looking to issues then way and can flag na audit reports. So if we interventions then over the years make they don't realize say that then key function they maybe they not so much be they pay attention to them and they want to take that responsibility now, it's a very good thing. We are all institutions within the broad accountability space. We all get responsibility for ensuring we inject integrity, transparency and accountability within public service. So if they realize the need for do more, the Public Accounts Committee, the Parliament at large, for look into audit queries more seriously, then it's a win for us as a country, because these are things that will not be they happen before this time. And like I you reference, we begin take audit reports so seriously. When audit reports then they come on, with the call press conference now the ACC, but before that, the moments and publish audit reports, Ishmael, there are times then at ACC where we don't in our office on the 24th of December, you know, so usually now in December, they can publish the Auditor General's report. On the 24th of December, Christmas watch net, we did in ACC, say then 10, 11 o'clock. Because of course we commissioner can look for work within timelines. We they look at, we they read through the entire voluminous audit report and look all of the areas then. There are audit reports then where they come on over 1,000 issues then. You know, then they flagged when at issues then we captured
or we fall squarely within we purview as a commission. Other audit reports they come out, we get 500 to 800 issues then. We they look all of them one day, and then we narrow them down. We make a document, and that one day nine we they call press conference. We of course inform journalists, them, the media, and the people of Sierra Leone, waiting at the issues. Then we audit reports flag, and waiting at the interventions. Then, but we not only can stop there. We they immediately begin for institute actions. Then some of the issues that we look at them and we they categorize as quick fixes. So if you for provide receipt, you not provide receipt, we they go and go arrest you. You come, it's not explanation, and can provide the receipt. We make, you see then checks then we can go present to the president of monies that they recover. Over 60 billion leons so they recover within the last 6-7 years. A huge chunk of that money there now on issues that will emanate from audit queries. So it explains how much we've really done in ensuring that people then not just sit down say audit reports where they can audit you. These are just mere opinions, nothing other way they do about it. People then begin taken seriously. Some senior government officials then be they sleep in a cell, now they then be they spending Christmas until they can provide answers then to we. And we be the pull media releases for every audit report. You check the website, and for una definitely where I believe say una they follow, or be they follow, una they see all the media releases on every issue where we don't make interventions, waiting at the outcome of them interventions.
So waiting ACC, how na they prioritize MDAs then? Una they look at a particular MDA, una say well, we investigate this first, or una they do it randomly?
Now based on the the nature or the substance of the issues, then based on the gravity of the issues, then we they prioritize all, but based on the gravity. So normally when audit reports then come out, we they of course categorize the issues then. So like I say, some can be quick fixes. If now receipt if you provide the receipts, then of course we get other actions, and definitely we can take. If now money is then misappropriated and no explanation, then of course we decide. So if the issues then they are not outright corruption or system gaps, then we don't do a lot of systems reviews at different institutions, including for example the SLMA, Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, and several other institutions. Then where they go and go say, because audit reports then on the flag issues then at this institution here, now the Ministry of Education on the use of fuel, fleet management, and other issues. Then we go there, and then we go do systems review, look at the system gaps, then we make the issues there. The Auditor General can flag the issues, then we address them, we make recommendations, we do follow up for ensure that they comply with the recommendations then they do, because it's not just about arrest. We don't make a lot of arrests, but we focus not to always for make arrests and for charge people in a court, because if you take other people in as well, you cow then and the system are still deficient, then still they get for do the same thing.
All right, now let's talk about repeat offenders, because that's the focus of this particular program. Now we want to know from the ACC point of view, how una able for handle repeat offenders, and if una still don't investigate currently people we they do the same thing every year.
Well, at this point, drawing from even we last press conference where we get on the said issue, the Auditor General's report, we make and clear say with the give deference to Parliament, unlike previous years them, where at that time there are for don't see several media releases.
When I asked you earlier if after this una buara with Parliament, if una still they continue for do it soon.
No, of course, the press conference where we get the commissioner make resoundingly clear that we look into all the issues then we and flag now.
So why give me an example of repeat offenders then we don't do things, then do them back, then una take action, investigate, and then.
No, you get institutions then. For example, the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration. These are one institution among other institutions then we every year audit reports the flag the same issues then. Almost the same issues then. We don't do a lot of arrests. We don't charge people in a court. You know, at some point, the head at some point of the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration within a court on issues around corruption. We don't do systems and processes review. Go in there, look at the system gaps, they address the system gaps in there, but the issues keep happening, and it's very dispiriting for us as a commission that these things keep happening in spite of the many strides that we don't make. And we get other institutions there as well, because most times most of the issues then we then identical across government institutions, then we audit reports can flag now issues around non-payment of statutory fees, then pay as you earn. Those are issues then we almost all, in fact all audit reports, they see the issues then they, how many of them, several of them for different government institutions then. And we don't do a lot of intervention for able to understand waiting at the reason why these things keep happening. One, sometimes not just negligence on the part of the one they were in charge, the one they were squarely responsible for ensuring those payments are made. For example, if you work na 2 Talk FM, at the end of every month, the institution need for ensuring them pay you NACIT, then pay your other statutory fees them. So sometimes they're not just keen taken seriously, and audit reports they flag their issues then they, and most times when audit reports flag issues, they quantify the amounts and they into monetary value. So if they say this amount it's unaccounted for, it not necessarily mean say those are all monies that have been embezzled. So that now one issue where repeatedly, so it can be because of negligence, because they fail for do what they're supposed to do, because of recklessness, because then just sometimes then just reckless in terms of performing the task where they pay them for, or sometimes not just flagrant corruption. They can just want to use that as a means for because they get other intentions then. Or there are times where we also observe some government institutions then where don't grapple with that, where audit reports the flag. Sometimes the allocations that way they get can, in fact, it not can really be enough for let them pay salaries and then pay again then statutory fees then they. So those are problems then, but we also engage Ministry of Finance for able for ensure we address the issues then. So those are more or less some of the issues, and at one point the institutions then we really maritime among other institutions then we audit reports then don't they keep calling them on the same issues them year in year out.
We can continue with the Alex Eba, we now the PR assistant now the Anti-Corruption Commission. And on the talk about what then they do as ACC for make sure say they investigate ministries, departments and agencies them or government, in connection with the audit reports where they come out every year. Don't forget it where they come to you on 2 Talk Radio 98.5 FM. Me where they bring the program now Ishmael Saidukano. Well, of course, we all know say the Parliament, the Public Accounts Committee, now then they in charge we campaign looking at the audit reports, and the Public Accounts Committee get the mandates for investigate and also query MDAs them. Now, one of the members them now the Public Accounts Committee, now Honorable Aaron Auna-Koma, and Honorable Aaron Auna-Koma don't be part of the audit, part of the Public Accounts Committee since this 6th Parliament. Well, we can listen to an interview now as he been talked to we producer Kalma. We be interview and then we talk on different issues then start with the mandates and then talk about other things then we the Public Accounts Committee they do, but then talk more on repeat offenders.
Under the leadership of Honorable Tawa, I think we are making some very frantic efforts to see the reoccurrence of certain audit queries. We're not really supposed to happen because the PFF Act very clear. They tell you exactly what are the steps for budgeting, what are the steps for expenditure, what are the steps for revenue generation. You cannot generate revenue, we no go collect revenue, we no bank are intact. But we see over the years, in the MDAs, where they flout that particular provision. And that in itself, don't they contribute a lot of revenue loss where government don't suffer so much. But as a committee, I know say we not only follow. Just in the last year's hearings, the more we conduct, we'll be able to make sure we mark most of those loopholes, and we will call for actions. Some money we are paid into the consolidated funds. We recommend the motion for certain staff. We'll take a lot of actions. We I think say these are like they may be baby steps, but now a work in progress. But I think we are getting there for make sure say we continue to take some stronger actions as to how we will continue to make Parliament the arbiter of accountability when it comes to the public financial space in the country. But yet we are constrained, because when you look at the Constitution, the mandate we then give as per Section 119 of the Constitution, the PAC not just power we then give you like for conduct hearings. Basically, we just overstep for make sure say we take some on the spot actions. But as per the Constitution, we have to conduct hearing, listen from auditees, note their views, we take them in line with cross-verification opinions, and then we form a conclusion. We will report to the plenary of the House for necessary actions.
Okay, so take me through to waiting typically they happen after the PSCB identify repeatedly for financial mismanagement in MDA, and waiting at the real consequences that we follow.
Well, we a lot of things they happen because the see like people we for example we can get certain MD they working in tax default, or certain public corporations or certain private business they working in tax areas with NRA. When auditors can go the audit, if I say they get some huge revenue generation shortfall on the side of NRA, we mostly attributed to the non-payment of whether withholding tax, whether GST, or whether corporation tax, as the case may be. Most of the time, some businesses or some private or public enterprises, they not comply with within exactly the income tax talk, because the income tax tells you at the end of every month, the 15th of every month, if you file the tax returns. Most people are not getting up for them as a result they can accumulate arrears. But upon the conduct of realism, we don't compel the on-the-spot payment. Just last year we recovered around close to $2 million or more. We will make sure, and those were funds that will recover through one garnishment of certain accounts of certain big corporations, and then for them people will do some payment where not do retirement at all, where we don't call it for hearing, still able to produce document for substantiate a particular expenditure, we can sanction that expenditure there for an ineligible expenditure. So with the sanction one deduction of or the restriction of that particular money there as provided in the PFM Act. Someday we can run where if you say person able to pay them on the spot. What we do over the time, we can make sure we send notice to Accountant General. We don't refer a lot of government officials them to Accountant General, where as I speak, then they pay on a monthly basis from the allowance emolument government for pay them, where they use for pay for certain cash loss where don't cause government for incur through the audit report. The backlog as we speak, 2021, 2022, the audit reports have been cleared. So the only one we work on now the 2023. So in terms of ineffectiveness, I don't think so go fall under the category of the committee being ineffective. We still have about 6 to 7 months for conducting hearing. I think in the next 2-3 months, the committee with the kind spirit they go, I think we will conclude on the 2023 audit reports and even advance to some other reports like performance audits where also audits have been conducted. Okay,
so in your view as a honorable member, what do you think saying are some of the root causes of this recurring audit failure, whether in a lack of capacity, weak system, or something else? What do you think saying are the root causes of this?
Well, I think a mixed bag. All of the things that we highlight so can be reasons. Systems again can be another reasons. we can also see even corruption can also be another reason, because I'm not really old bill for any MDA where the public accounts, the Public Financial Management Act, and even the Public Financial Management Regulations, they tell you, or even the Finance Act, the way Parliament done they pass over time, they tell you exactly what for do for pull government money. Government will not like money where they go pull in a bank, where they use savings. There are processes and procedures we spell out in laws. We have to say before you go pull government couple, you don't forget, if you don't get a purpose, what you want her for. You have to raise a voucher. You have to make sure say when you raise voucher, if not procurement, subjected to procurement, you have to make sure say you abide by what the procurement act say. So if you don't do all of it, you just go straight and go sign check. That is financial recklessness, and that's of course some of the issues them where we don't also find out in audit report. We also see one of the major things we can also realize that the fact that see a lot of negligence also in terms of responding to auditors when once the auditors they go na certain MDAs for good conduct audit. Sometimes the auditor they go na certain what they call and create the ML when at the manual letters. So normally when they can raise the queries them when they see during the course of the audit, and they can get a time for respond. Some they're not able to respond. They know they respond and wait until they can appear. They can submit documentation.
Talking about corruption, how does the PAC coordinate with institutions like the Anti-Corruption Commission for tackle these persistent issues holistically?
Well, we, as a parliament or as a when I've been the transparency committee get a memorandum of understanding between them and that of the ACC. But the work of the Public Accounts Committee, it is constitutionally sanctioned. When you go to section 119, it tell you exactly say the audit reports na a document of Parliament. Yeah, and the committee where Parliament can assign and so na the Public Accounts Committee. And as per best practice, the audit opinions, the audit findings, the main opinions expressed by the Auditor General, they only become conclusive opinions or conclusive findings after we Parliament don't conduct hearing on them. Like just like the court where we say here for hear the other side, the auditor don't say this. We not be like the habit of which was okay now this and this is the auditor say. Person will come and can't defend himself end of the day before we will say okay whether this finding if for stand or not for stand, because we don't see most of the time the auditor in a system then they audit. But with them some cash flows can happen in natural sense not to select now money where something possible eat passing, but sometimes I just one documentation where they go say you do 153, you get retirement but you not give reports like back to office reports. If not get back to office reports, the authority sanction at say waiting for attached as documents, even though you undertake the activity. But because all the necessary support documents not there for substantiating indeed this transaction was done, auditor can flag. So in an event where they cannot the hearing, the person counts the back to office reports, that issue will be resolved. So if you go send announcing if you go na anti-corruption, state how for be an inquiry issue, that in itself now a breach of subduing the authority of Parliament. But mostly, what you don't do with reports, they are starting commission they recommend straight to ACC. What you make sure say, will say this will get glaring corruption issues, and we don't get the time and the patience for make sure say we do full blown hearing on a particular issue. Sometimes refer the to anti-corruption commission.
Look at the impact on the public. How do repeated financial irregularities affect service delivery, especially in a sector like health, education, and infrastructure? And I will need an example.
Well, this one don't really it affects governments greatly. For example, loss like revenue loss. There was a case in Kenya where people when they pay for license. This when they go pay for license, waiting they happen, then they issue they have the license they go, but the money they go into the account. I know the way the auditor go for go do the audits, they realize say the cash book of the agency of the SLRSA, it shows say they don't generate so and so money. But when they take the bank statement, the money not reflects na the bank statement. You go imagine how cash loss or how revenue loss the impact on health. It means government no dey get the required money for able to pay for other service delivery. Under the leadership of Honorable Tawa, I think so we are making some.
That Honorable Eonauna Koma, member na the Public Accounts Committee. Well, they talk about their role and what they do for repeat offenders, especially if you look at the audit report, them you look the trend, you see some things and they repeat. Now, if I can go into briefly, if I want to look at 2022 and 2023 reports, Honorable mention about revenue loss. I want to just go into briefly and try for bring on some of the things that we are compare at the 2022 and the 2023 report. If you look at financial irregularities, if you look at them, it will tell you see 2022 now 138 billion in terms of financial irregularities. That in our old loans 138 billion. You know that see 2022 that's in they not be do the redenomination it. So 2023 now we get 238 million new loans. You know, so then in it tell you see in fact it increase, you know, from 138 to 233. Now if you go to the ministries, departments and agencies, unsupported documents, we all know say this of course it repeats every year. You know, 2022 for example, the unsupported document it amounts to 33 million new loans. For 2023 audit reports, this now be 2022 33 million new loans. 2023 we get 18.1 million new loans plus $3 million plus 3.6 million euros. Then revenue management gaps. 2022, they tell you say on trace transfers, GST input unsupported. Then they tell you about 2023, where they tell you say over $7.4 million then loss due to breach of contract. Then if you come to payroll issues, we of course every year if you look at the audit report there it repeats. Then say no highlights on retirees on assets. Then no highlights on the 2022 audit report. When you go to the 2023 report, they say 56.4 million paid to retirees. Then 134 million unpaid assets. Then if you look at contract breaches, that's where the contract then puella. Then say 38 billion old loans in non-compliance. Then if you go 2023, they tell you fiber optic and passport royalty losses. They tell you about unratified agreement. So if you compare the 2 years them, we can to the MDAs them, then say both years then they reveal severe issues in terms of contract compliance and expenditure determination, sorry, documentation. But then say 2023 it exposed deeper payroll fraud and systemic weaknesses in compliance. Before I come to Alex, let's just go quickly to the local council then. 2022, the irregularities they would identify at the local council then 9.9 billion loans, old loans. 2022 audit report. 2023, 4.7 million new loans. Audit opinion, then say 86% received unqualified from 95%. Then say 21 unqualified from the 2023 report. Then system use, they're not clearly highlighted on the 2022 report. But 2023, they mentioned about 8 licenses we then talk about now the 2023 report. So basically, the audit reports very rich when it comes to financial mismanagement or misappropriation of public funds, or how you want for column. But Alex, we don't listen to Honorable Leon Aunakoma interview, and he mentioned, clearly define the role and role, or how they work together. You don't talk about transitional. They mentioned section 119. We give them the mandate. In other words, and then the bra we camp the audit report. So from an interview, which you pick out?
Yes, of course, within the honorable mention, a more or less, be the same with some of the issues then we, at the commission level, we can flag the issues that we can talk about. Recurring issues then we the auditor generals can pick, and we keep seeing every audit report. And of course, he also mentioned that then as parliament then can give the audit individuals, the audited institutions, then the opportunity for let them can defend. The law provides that, it make provision for that. And he also mentioned that the audits or general's reports, these are expert opinions, and he also write on that. But for we at the ACC, he also mentioned that there are issues then we then can, of course, direct to we. Also, we come in, just like I mentioned or I talked about earlier on, we focus for we correct the system gaps then they. Okay. If the issues there they happen in every audit report, in fact, it shows that there are grave system issues, and we not only can pay attention for make arrests of the one that we can involve, for ensure say we recover monies then we supposed for be recovered, and we take other actions then, but we also can pay attention for ensure say then systems gaps then they were able for tackle them. But one thing where I go also maybe throw light on, when we get with last engagement with the press, some of the things then where we emphasize now that one, we need for ensure say we effect some stiff and punitive administrative sanctions.
What do you mean by that?
It is just the same thing or similar within the honorable say. Now, if then go audit this institution, and you for suppose for provide answers to the auditors then, and you refuse to provide answers then, some of these monies, it is not to say that they are being misappropriated, not to say that the money they will then thief, but take auditing seriously. The fact is, Ishmael, this country we get a very poor culture. The culture very poor on how seriously you for take the most important things. So, and this reflects that. So, if then go audit na your institution, go talk to the auditors, then provide the receipt so you're supposed to provide to them. And what can happen most times when the auditors then go, they not provide answers to them. The moment the ACC intervene, the next minute everything where they refuse to provide to the auditors then will be provided to us. So one of the things that we mention resoundingly that we need to forget punitive administrative sanction and account to that. That is to say, people have to be disciplined. Of course, we get a limited mandate. If now issues around corruption, embezzlement, or things we surround within the law, within the boundaries of the law, we take interventions then. But if now issues of administrative lapses then, let's say you for make payments, make them payments then they also. When the ACC or Parliament intervene, you go and provide the answers then they. Waiting, we feel say has to be done. One, and for letting people in there for the gross negligence or recklessness, let them either be suspended or even be dismissed. Because if you not take your work seriously, some of the other issues then where they mention are issues, for example, of ghost workers then. Now different government institution then. And what does this mean? Now, if they can to talk for audits, then they take some time here. They don't send correspondence ahead. if una say una get 15 staff then at this institution, let the staff then be present for be audited. And the practices, the culture at some of these offices then is very poor.
And the HRM will not cut you, the human resources institution, na salon, HRM, then we get how many staff, over 20 or 30 we then see na ghost workers. But at the end of the day, I think they provide some evidence for parliament for telling say not to ghost workers.
So these are the things. It is just recklessness when the auditors then they for example, we at ACC, we they get an internal memo where the HR they communicate that auditors then they can at the ACC, and all staff must ensure that within 2 days, whether you in our regions or etc., within 2 days you need for come and ensure say you are verified. It is as simple as that. So staff them will not come within that timeline day. Auditors then can take 1 week or even more. But staff they will not come within that own timeline day, and they're not able to adduce enough reason, they are punished. Some of them are being suspended. Some of them then salaries then they in fact forfeits and salaries. So those are the actions they take at the anti-corruption level. But let me ask yourself these questions. If this problem keep happening, then it simply means that other institutions then not they take these things as serious as it should be.
Yes.
So these are the problems.
Yes. So if I can go again to the audit report 2022 and 2023, because I just take them to them for now. So if you look at the recurring issues then, it tell you about unsupported payments. It repeats the 2022, 2023. Poor internal controls. I guess now dynamic when they do the system and processes review. Then revenue loss, of course, every year. Then weak contract management, payroll irregularities, which we mentioned just now. Then ICT system weaknesses. All the while, so the 2022 mention them, the 2023 mention them. What does this mean for accountability na salon where they get them here, so we are just highlight they repeat themselves?
Yes, so there are a couple of reasons then we make these things keep happening. One of those reasons, one would say most of them or some of them government institutions there where then audit queries they can flag the issues there. It is because they can get very weak internal control systems then. And systems then weak. And if then systems then weak, then these issues will keep happening. So it behooves on the institutions there for ensure say then get stronger systems we can do interventions then. But there are issues on compliance. But we mention clearly in some of the other briefings then that we need for ensure say we take decisive actions then. If they not take consensus efforts, they not make efforts for tightening the internal control systems, we go create avenue for letting things that keep happening, let people in way they in charge be disciplined. Another reason also why these things keep happening, the issues that we mentioned, it also because there is this issue of lack of accountability, and enforcement. So most times when these things then can come on, the one then way can involve more or less they're not accountable, or if there are penalties then they're not enforce them. So I will make a classical example. Let's say if we get true talk and then issues that keep happening, there are times if the payroll or other financial irregularities then or providing supporting documents to auditors and not providing supporting document in there, then most times it's not even the head of that institution they were responsible, maybe not just the finance officer. So waiting for happen now the institutional heads or the other people where they in charge for ensure say those people if not finance officers, even if not the director, then one then they will not provide waiting them for provide, then discipline them internally, enforce the internal policies them. And there is this lack of accountability and enforcement within the institutions there. In fact sometimes maybe the finance officers then they can still careless when auditors then they need to take them seriously. But another issue also where I go mention now issues of sometimes incapacity. maybe the finance officers in the institution, they are not even knowledgeable. Those are the realities. Maybe they don't even understand, like how the honorable mentioned. If you want for take money, if you want for withdraw government money, there are procedures. You didn't just go sign check and go make withdrawals. So there are times, maybe some of them, they are not just abreast with these issues. Now just a lack of capacity we can make them things that they happen. So you may have judiciously expended these resources, but because you fail to adhere to clearly define procedures and processes, then these issues will be flagged in audit reports. And maybe the final one way I will also mention, where now one of the issues or one of the reasons now something in the institutional culture. Some institutions, and they just get this poor culture. Maybe they don't take things seriously. And over and above all, there are times then, not just maybe deliberate acts, of corruption. And then deliberate acts and they can disguise them in administrative deficiencies.
Okay,
so basically, those are the reasons.
We get limited time now, but I want to take you to the audit tier where IGR do 2022, where they look at audit uptake 2015 to 2020. Now, some of the findings them, I will read them. We say, in total, 2,655 audit recommendations were produced by the Audit Service Sierra Leone for all MDAs and local councils for the 6-year period. Only 38% of audit recommendations were implemented in the last 6 years. Only 38%. Ministries of Transport and Aviation, Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Transport and Aviation get 60% of this. What they know, we then do. Foreign Affairs get 46. Works, Basic Education, now the list. Compliance Ministry then, as per this IGR audit report. So, if you get a lot of recommendation, then you get less than 40% implemented. Because if you go to the 2022 audit report, you go to the 2023 audit report, it urge Parliament for let them force compliance, for let them force the MDAs there, for look at the recommendation there and implement them.
So interestingly, today, now one of them symbolic days them as well, where we go renew memorandum of understanding with the Audit Service Sierra Leone. So earlier today we signed an MOU, the acting Auditor General and other management of the staff there of the Audit Service and the Anti-Corruption Commission. We signed the MOU and waiting define that MOU there and how we go continue for work honestly. Because if Audit Service they do their work and they make recommendations then it behooves the institution there for let them adhere to the recommendations then they. But the powers of the Audit Service are for audits and then publish the outcome of the audit report. So institutions like Parliament, institutions like ACC, we get like how they can say we get teeth for bites. So if we bite, in fact, then they make the audits then work, they become easier because if you don't expend a whole lot, for get the audit report out and all of the issues and they are outlined and not much is done repeated years them, they become dispirited as a result of that. So now that make the ACC before this time we don't get MOU, we don't continue for Forge with the Audit Service. And today now one of those days where we go of course reforge that very MOU day. So I agree with you. The recommendations over time they have been in fact they not don't comply with them. The compliance rate has been extremely abysmal. It has been extremely poor. And one of the things that we mentioned quite recently now that we want both parliaments where we of course they work with, that we get stiffer sanctions them. Like I would say emphatically.
What should I go do for let this happen? Because not for just talk but for
no, what we've been doing within the boundaries of we law, now for investigate, now for charge na courts, now for arrest people away, not able to provide answers, and also for the systems review. But since the thing not still repeats themselves on the issues of administrative lapses, because some of them, if they are not issues of corruption, then we are limited in that. So now make na parliament, then get a huge work there, and of course they work in tandem with them. Now if they are not issues of corruption, then go defend themselves, then can provide the receipts and all. It should not stop there.
Right, so
people have to be disciplined.
So as we wrap up in less than a minute, citizens they were frustrated, we can say both they were so MDAs and do things repeatedly, same thing, and they happen, we're frustrated. What's message you get for them from the ACC point of view?
Yes, from the ACC point of view, we remain committed for do we work, whether now for look at issues then we audit reports can pop